Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac. At the end of the last episode, we finished up the tutorial at Buccaneer Beach, as well as level 1-2, Corsair Cove. And in this episode, we are starting up level 1-3, and this is the Crazy Cannonade episode. So yeah, pretty much similar type of environment that we are seeing here as we have in the last couple of levels. Well, mainly the last level, 1-2. And as you can see, we have now found another ghost area, so we're going to go ahead and pick up this power pellet, do our thing by munching on some ghosts with some cute little pirate hats, since we are on Pirate Ship Island. And as you can see, we hit the number 1 switch there, so that's going to open up something for us down here. So the blue switches, if you notice, will sometimes be hidden behind these fruit doors, so you do have to actually do a little bit of work sometimes to be able to even access these blue switches. And of course they are numbered, so of course hitting them in numerical order is what you're supposed to do to open up kind of like the next thing that the switch will activate. So this here is one of my favorite little mechanics here. As you can see, we are continuing to use the rev roll on the elevators, and we actually are maneuvering through these little cannonballs being fired at us. So that's kind of a nice little thing here, kind of dramatic. It's, obviously not too hard to avoid the cannonballs. But as you can see, we are starting to see some more obstacles kind of, appearing in our pathway. So not as smooth as a ride as we had in the last level. We were kind of just rolling through on those elevators. They kind of throw a little bit more at us this time around, so kind of nice. And as you can see, we are using this little door switch again, and we are going to go ahead and bring ourselves back up to the next level. Go back over here, and we will open up the apple door. Hitting that switch, which will open up a nice little pack dot path for us. You'll kind of see a lot of those pretty much in every single level, where you're given a kind of a trail of pack dots that for the most part will open up from a switch you have to hit, and then it kind of sends you in a specific direction kind of automatically, and it kind of feels nice to be able to do that. I don't know why, I always like that part of this game where you're kind of given those little trails and you're able to basically just kind of ride through that little trail, and you don't have to worry about like hitting any button or anything like that. It literally just kind of puts you on like autopilot there for a second, so to speak, where you're kind of just eating those pack dots and maneuvering to whatever path it's sending you to. Most of the time, especially later on, it'll send us to like a letter, a Pac-Man letter, or maybe a fruit. So you are rewarded by opening up those little paths. But now we're going to go ahead and move right along. We have another power pellet, so we're going to go ahead and do our thing again. Eat these little pirate ghosts. As you can see, there's only 2 that time. And the ghost areas will get a lot more expansive later on, so you'll kind of notice where in this particular level we just have like 2 or 3 ghosts that we have to eat in order to complete that little ghost area. Alright, so I actually want to go ahead and head over in this direction. We actually missed the A in this barrel. And I did not notice that until just a little bit ago. So I don't want to, kind of want to save myself from doing too much backtracking, or at times, and this might even come up in a later level, where I might miss a letter and kind of forget where it is at times, and that just happens really with anyone. As many times as I play this game, it's just something that does happen from time to time, but for the most part, it is easy to go and backtrack and kind of locate it. But sometimes you will be kind of on a kind of point of no return part of a level where you actually cannot go and backtrack to a certain point. Fortunately, this level I don't think that really has many of those, but later on we're definitely going to see some levels where backtracking can get kind of difficult if you've already progressed past a certain point in the level. And once we kind of get to that, I'll kind of talk more about that, but that can be kind of annoying. So if there's any I guess cons I'd have to say as far as the backtracking goes, or just within this game in general, that would be probably mine. My biggest gripe is kind of being limited to backtracking if you've made it past a certain point, because I love to explore, and 3D platformers, especially a game like this where there's just so many things to collect and areas to explore within each different level. it kind of, I feel a little restricted not being able to kind of explore and backtrack and kind of, you know, walk all over the level and if I'm kind of cut off. But back there you saw a metal enemy. So metal enemies can only be destroyed, of course, with the metal dot. So if you do not have a metal dot, you will not be able to kill the enemy. You will actually take damage, I believe, if you try to do your little butt bounce or any other attack directly on those metal enemies. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Kind of obvious. I mean, they kind of make that obvious from the, obviously the fact that there is a metal dot ability in the. Oh, I didn't mean to fall off there. All right, so we're gonna give this another go and try not to die very, miserably like we just did. As you can see, we can use those cannons as kind of as platforms, basically, so we can kind of jump on top of those when they open up there, those little square platforms that kind of come out of the wall there. So that's kind of nice that we can do that, and it looks like we have our next maze right here. Unfortunately, we don't have the Galaxian icon key, which is what opens up the maze doors, but we should find it here soon. They usually put it pretty close to the door for the most part, if I remember correctly. But we will find the letter M is actually going to be behind that door, so we're almost done collecting the Pac-Man letters. Again, that's something that's pretty easy for the most part. Again, maybe a couple of letters. I'm thinking there's maybe maybe 2 or 3 levels where those letters are difficult to find, but for the most part, they're really in your path, right in your path as you're progressing on in the level. Some do require backtracking, but again, much later on is when we're going to see that kind of happen more often. But now we finally have the key to unlock the maze door, so we're going to be able to take on the next maze. So very exciting. And again, I really love the mazes. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Being able to do the mazes. I have so much fun doing it. It feels like, old school Pac-Man, kind of blended into this 3D game. It's just so awesome. But now we are going to deal with, it looks like some parrots are going to be dropping some, I think they're cannonballs that they're holding there. So we're going to try to avoid them by using the power pellet. Be able to maximize our size, our defense, and our attack. Or, essentially we're invincible. We want to make sure, I think the best strategy for this maze is to really just kind of clear like one half of it, and then that way you have less to worry about on one side, and then you basically can kind of focus on one side at a time. As you can see, I just have the left side of this maze now to do to get all the rest of these pack dots, so we're going to see if we can do that. The ghosts, again, aren't a problem if you can, save the... and also, I wouldn't rush to get the power pellets right away, especially if you haven't cleared a lot of the maze, in your little run here. But if you have, you might as well grab, as many as you can and take out these ghosts. But that does it for that maze. We have finally cleared it, and it is time to progress on in the level once again. So... we are about a little over halfway done with 1-3 here, so we just got a little bit to finish up. We have 2 more letters, I think some more fruits still to find, and we are pretty much done here, I think. Just want to avoid these cannonballs, and we will be on our merrily way. Take out these skeleton bandits here, as I like to call them. I can't remember what their official enemy names are, and that actually brings me to an important note, is I'm not going to go crazy with kind of announcing like... or referencing the official names of some of these enemies, because really they're not... I mean, there's a ton of enemies in this game, other than like the ghosts, which I think are obviously important to the game. A lot of these enemies are just kind of general type of creatures. Like, they're just kind of like skeletons with pirate hats. As you saw there, we were, kind of maneuvering around those parrots. We saw some of them in the maze as well. I don't think this is a game where going over enemy names is that big of a deal, so I'm not really going to go, I'm not going to go too in-depth with like, oh, this is the official name of this enemy and so on and so forth. Other games I've done in the past, I think it made a lot more sense. With this game, the focus is really on the collectibles and on the high score. So that's kind of where I'm going to really kind of focus my attention on, as far as kind of talking about, what you can do to get to, a higher score, or, of course, going over all the locations of the collectibles. So, of course, we're not going to skip there's a lemon up there. That was nice. We're not going to skip our little ghost area here. Take out these ghosts, man. I love this. I love how this game just has so much to it that makes it such an incredible game. not only is it the first 3D platformer in the series, but it has so many different mechanics that makes it so special and unique. And like being able to clobber those ghosts, in certain sections, and then you have the maze sections, which are fun. So it kind of brings a lot of variety, where you're not just simply going around and collecting a bunch of, collectibles, or finding a bunch of collectibles and all of your Pac-Man letters and things like that. There's other additions to it that makes it, kind of switches things up and makes it pretty unique, and again, brings a lot of variety to the game, which is, again, something I just love about it. But now we're going to go down here, and this sign's basically going to tell us there's a bomb dot in this chest, so we got a butt bounce to open it. And basically what this does is if you have the bomb dot activated, so you simply just collect it in a chest or, behind an object or whatever, once I butt bounce with this bomb dot activated, it will basically do, like I'll show right here. Boom, it'll do a little bit of like an earthquake attack, and it'll take out literally every single enemy within your view on your screen. So it's kind of just a fast way to take out enemies. Enemies are pretty easy to take out or to attack in the game, except for actually there's a couple coming up in a later world where I just remember that are kind of a pain in the butt. But those bomb dots are, although pretty rare to find, they aren't really found quite frequently in this game, and I didn't really mean to just jump off there. All right. What I was saying was the bomb dots are pretty rare to find, but if you do happen to, just kind of get yourself in a little bit of a pickle where you have a bunch of enemies around you and it's getting pretty annoying or difficult to take them out, the bomb dot is a nice alternative to kind of quickly sweep any enemies in your path. Like, it literally takes them all out at once, which I've already said. So enough repeating myself. We're going to carry on with our pirate adventure. And I have to say, again, this game just brings a lot of life and a lot of fun to be had with all of these different environments. And again, it reminds me of like Banjo-Kazooie and a lot of other main 3D platformers where you just have a lot of variety to the levels. And again, it really makes this universe feel a lot more expansive and just upscaled, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of even just like using that rev roll on those elevators to be able to kind of maneuver around the level. It's so nice. Oh, okay, so here's where we have a cage. Go and take out these ghosts real quick, this power pellet. This is actually going to be where our first pack buddy is going to be found. So each pack buddy that was taken hostage by the evil Pac-Man at the beginning of the game, we are going to find in these cages. Thank you, Pac-Man. I will knock Pac-Man's block off the next time I see him. Man, he's aggressive. I'll be waiting for you outside. All right, so yes, we have finally rescued Puka. He is the first of 6 pack buddies, and that key that we collected in the last level was actually what you do need to have in order to break those guys out of their cages. So that's very important. Again, another essential part of completing this game at 100% is you have to free every single pack buddy. I'm pretty sure that is one of the requirements in the 100% criteria, but just so you know, you will need to find every single key in order to do that. So, very important to note, but now we are going back into probably my least favorite of the bonus stages, and again, this is just specific to World 1, the pirate ship island. I just hate the fact that you have to use the metal dot in order to collect all these fruit, and then I don't know, I feel like it has to be something I'm doing incorrectly, but I feel like maneuvering around these freaking spike balls down here, even with the metal dot, like I struggle to get like on top of the mountain of spike balls here where I have to jump off of it and collect more fruit. I don't know if it's just me, but I almost find like swimming to be a little bit quicker and more efficient to actually getting this done. But it looks like we're missing 4. Our timer's up, so that's gonna do it for that. So unfortunately, yeah, gonna be one of our first fails. Actually, I think I failed one of the other ones in the last level, but again, not my favorite bonus stage, so it is what it is. Now it's time for the slot bonus. And go. All right, so we actually managed to get a lot of 1-ups out of that, and also obviously increasing our high score a little bit more. So we have now achieved a total of 98,000, over 98,000. So we're getting there. My goal is to kind of get at least like 100 to 150,000 points each world or each island. It looks like we are actually on track to do that. But now it is time to take on the first boss. As you can see, we have finished 1-3 at 100% for the most part, with the exception of not clearing that bonus stage. But we can now talk to Puka, who's out here. Thank you for saving me, Pac-Man. I can't believe I was in a cage. Yeah, the Pac Buddies don't really say a lot, but it's kind of cool to see them out here in the hub world, out on the island, just kind of chilling. They'll basically kind of give you, like, you know, encouraging words that, you know, you can do this, or Talkman's going down, or things like that. So kind of cool. But now it is time to take on the first boss, and it is Windbag 1-4. So let's talk about the bosses. For the most part, the bosses are all pretty fun, actually. There's maybe one or two that I can't stand, but for the most part, they're pretty fun because you basically are given kind of like a mini level, and then it leads into the actual boss fight. So for the Windbag boss, we are going to be fighting a giant ship enemy, essentially, and he's going to be the first boss of the game. And as you can see right now, we are still collecting a bunch of fruit and a bunch of pack dots, and I do believe, again, you have to collect every single piece of everything you see here. I'm missing pack dots like crazy right now, but I do believe you have to collect every single item in even these boss stages in order to fulfill that 100% requirement. And that's why I'm not really going to go crazy with it, because it is kind of easy to kind of pass some like pack dots or maybe some fruits here and there if you're doing these little sections leading up to the boss. But now it's time to face off with the first boss. And as you can see, Talkman has followed us. He is a creeper for sure. And this guy is freaking ugly. But he is now going to summon his first minion, which is the first boss, like I have said millions of times already. And it is Windbag. And I love that epic little boss introduction cutscene thing. I love it. Every single boss has it, and it just makes the game even that more epic. So for Windbag, as you can see, he is a giant evil pirate ship that has literal wings on the side of his ship. I never really noticed that before. One's blue, one's red, so he's essentially evil officially by that. But basically what you want to do is just use the butt bounce attack to stop these switches, and you want to time it to where the switch is pressed when he approaches that side of the map. So basically once the switch is pressed, it will throw up these little target panels, and his cannonballs will actually deflect back to him if they strike the panels here, or these little target things. So like I said, you want to make sure you time it to where he's pretty easy for the most part, as long as you just really keep hitting these. As he's already kind of taken a lot of damage, he's getting pretty angry, but you just want to continuously stomp all the switches that come up, like as soon as they come up, and just keep going. That's really my strategy, is just don't stand still. As soon as you're able to hit these switches, stomp those suckers in and watch this guy go down, because again, he's pretty easy. The cannonballs can get kind of annoying to avoid. They're not hard to avoid, but they, you know, he will throw a lot of them at you at once. But again, if you're hitting the switches, you know, pretty much consistently without stopping, you're pretty much going to take this guy out within a few minutes at most. He's pretty simple. He is going to get, you know, a little angry, but he is going to throw us some fruit, so we're going to try to collect those as they come down. I believe he only throws down one fruit at a time, and it's only in one specific spot, or over one switch, and the rest are going to be cannonballs. So of course you want to make your way to that specific switch where the fruit is going to be dropped. Again, pretty self-explanatory. You don't need me to tell you that. You can figure it out on your own. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you can, but like, you know, I'm doing this Let's Play, so I have to kind of talk about this stuff, you know? It's just kind of what I have to do. But anyhow, it looks like he is getting close. He's down to one hit to the left. And something else that's nice is you get a nice little view of the HP of the boss, so you can kind of see how many hits are left. But that is the final hit. He's bringing out his little crazy eye action there, and he's going to go down like a loser, and he's going to throw us a bunch of cherries, because of course, what better way to celebrate than with a bunch of cherries. So it is now time to clear the first boss stage, and that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. And of course, we have saved our first pack buddy, and it is now time to take on the next slot bonus. Very nice. All right, so not too shabby there. Did a little bit better, and we did achieve our goal of hitting over 100,000 total points for our high score, so not too shabby. We're off to a decent start. I don't think we're going to get to 765, but hey, Look at that. We took down Windbag. We took down the first boss. We have completed the very first island, Pirate Ship Island, World 1, if you will. And we are on our way. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. Oh, I didn't really explain that maze. That sign with the maze key on it is actually going to allow you to go through and do all the mazes that you've already done. So you can do that if you want to. I don't really care too much about doing that since we've already done it in the main game. But as you can see, we can now travel over to the ruins area because this is going to be where World 2 is located. So in the next episode of Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac, we are going to take on 2-1 at Crisis Cavern, starting up World 2, the ruins area. Until then, I will see you later.